In the hush of a rain-slicked Tokyo alley, where neon reflections pooled like spilled secrets on the pavement, a single alert shattered the midnight calm. It was 2:15 a.m. on November 22nd, 2025, and from Seoul's towering spires to New York's sleepless avenues, devices hummed to life in unison, a symphony of silent summons. Jungkook appeared not as the untouchable icon of sold-out arenas, but as a silhouette against a curtained window, his profile sharp yet softened by exhaustion, voice emerging like smoke from a hidden fire. "Army, it's me. I couldn't sleep, so I thought of you." That hesitation, a fractional silence before you, wasn't rehearsal. It was revelation, a crack in the facade that whispered of burdens too heavy for spotlights to illuminate. To grasp the seismic aftershocks of this unassuming broadcast, trace the contours of Jungkook's improbable ascent, a trajectory etched in sweat and stardust. Now 28, he'd evolved from the wide-eyed prodigy, plucked from Busan's coastal haze into BTS's sonic architect, his solos like arrows piercing the global pop firmament, golden hours still charting marathons, its tracks woven into wedding vows and protest anthems alike. The group's enlistment hiatus had recast him as a lone navigator, charts conquered yet solitude amplified, whispers of creative droughts circulating like urban fog. Army, that boundless tapestry of devotion spanning generations and gulfs, had fortified the interim with their own myth-making. Viral murals in London's tube stations, candlelit vigils in Mexico City parks, collaborative zines dissecting his every lyric as scripture. They were more than spectators. They were sentinels, the force that had alchemized BTS's 2017 Billboard breakthrough into a cultural insurgency, streaming through controversies and comebacks with the fervor of shared survival. Jungkook's impromptu streams were their oases, unfiltered portals into a world of velvet ropes and velvet voices. This one materialized without prelude, a ghost in the Weverse machine, its timing shadowed by days of cryptic posts, a blurred photo of rain-streaked glass, captioned only with an ellipsis. The air thickened with anticipation, a prelude to the unraveling. The session commenced as a gentle unfurling. Jungkook perched on the edge of a worn leather armchair in what seemed a borrowed Airbnb, sleeves rolled to elbows revealing faint ink trails from forgotten tattoos, a steaming mug of chamomile cooling untouched on the side table. He eased in with levity, the golden magnate's default armor. Tried making ramen at midnight. Burn the noodles, save the egg, he quipped, the grin flashing brief but genuine, a spark in the low lamplight that danced shadows across his jawline. The viewer count ballooned to 1.2 million, the comment cascade a multilingual torrent. Hearts from Helsinki, flags from Hyderabad, pleas in pixelated script. He sifted through them, voice lilting in acknowledgement. "That one's funny," pointing to a meme of him mid-yawn from last year's Grammys. But his gaze drifted, anchoring on some invisible horizon. The backdrop whispered transience. A suitcase half-zipped in the corner, its contents spilling like confessions. Sheet music curled at the edges, a dog-eared journal bound in black leather. Here, the rhythm decelerated, deliberate and delving. The lens capturing the micro-movements. A knuckle cracking softly, the rise and fall of his chest sinking unevenly with the room's ambient hum. The turn arrived unheralded, post a hushed rendition of My Time. Fingers plucking guitar strings with a tenderness that bordered on ache, the chorus fading into a sigh rather than a swell. Lately, he ventured, setting the guitar aside with care, as if laying down a fragile relic. "I've been replaying our story in my head. The highs, sure. The stadiums, the signs waving like oceans. But the quiet parts, the ones where it all feels a little too vast." His tone dipped, not dramatically but discernibly, a subtle erosion like waves wearing stone, the consonants carrying an undercurrent of strain that fans, attuned as ornithologists to his vocal migrations, identified immediately. They'd mapped his registers exhaustively. The crystalline highs of dynamite, the shadowed depths in blood, sweat, and tears, the buoyant whispers of run lives. This inflection was uncharted, a velvet frayed at the seams, evoking not polish but pulse, a vulnerability that seeped through the speakers like ink in water. He shifted forward, elbows on knees, eyes meeting the camera's unblinking eye with an intensity that pinned the viewer in place. If the weight's pressing down, if the noise drowns out your own thoughts, or the road ahead blurs, remember we're here. Not just in songs, but in the spaces between. Borrow our strength. It's yours to take. You can always turn to us. A pause, waited, his fingers interlacing as if to steady a tremor. You're the light that pulls me through. With you, everything aligns. We're at our best because of you. The digital realm ignited, a supernova of sentiment. Violet emojis avalanching in feeds, sobs transcribed in all caps from Sydney to Stockholm. Hashtags birthing like afterthoughts. Hashtag turn to hit, surging to global primacy, outpacing tech launches and trade talks. The fandom's innate sorcery, transmuting fragility into fire. Within the stream, tempo surged, Jungkook's responses accelerating to match the frenzy. Hey, no waterworks yet, he teased, but the jest fractured, laughter yielding to a hitch that echoed like a skipped heartbeat, the raw edge slicing through compression algorithms. He dashed a hand across his brow, dismissing it as just the steam. Yet the motion lingered, betraying the glint of unshed emotion in the frame's unforgiving glow. Echoes of prior intimacies surfaced unbidden. The 2020 isolation stream, where he'd first voiced a kindred plea, timbre resilient amid lockdown's grip. Now, it bore the patina of accumulated miles, from barracks bunks to backstage voids, carving grooves only the keenest ears could trace. A comment flickered. But who's carrying you tonight? He voiced it slowly, the words curling inward, and the broadcast suspended in amber. Fair question, he conceded, voice threading quieter. Turns out, we all need a hand sometimes. The revelation pulsed, cinematic in its compression. The feed's autofocus sharpening on the faint crease between his brows, the subtle hunch of shoulders sculpted for stages, yet slumping under unseen loads. Across the ether, the response manifested in mosaic. In a Vancouver high-rise, Lena, 31 and software engineer unraveling at the seams from a promotion's phantom promise, halted her pacing, mug shattering on tile as his words landed like absolution. BTS had been her anchor through divorce's debris. This rasp, this raw admission, echoed her own frayed edges, prompting a frantic journal entry. He gets it. Mutual mending. Near Incheon's fog-shrouded ports, a cluster of university students huddled over a shared laptop, one translating on the fly, their murmurs blending awe and ache. He's human, after all. Virally, the moment metastasized. Instagram Reels looping the 1647 timestamp, waveform analyses and fan edits isolating the vocal dip, Reddit mega-threads interlacing it with discourses on celebrity solitude, invoking Jungkook's veiled nods to anxiety in Seven's liner notes. The crescendo crested with an impromptu spring day fragment, vocals stripped bare, the bridge dissolving not in a harmony, but a held breath, his timbre thinning to a filament that quavered on the brink. Peaks hit 4.1 million, platforms buckling under the deluge like bridges in a storm, at its core. This vocal fissure unearthed straight at Jungkook might have glimpsed only peripherally, yet army excavated with empathic fervor. The strain in his delivery? Less exhaustion than existential torque. The idol's eternal bind. Youth idolized to stasis while maturity inexorably advances. Drives converged. His an ingrained reflex to safeguard, honed as the band's emotional fulcrum, memorizing choreo and counsel to buoy his elders through tempests. Ramifications cascaded, the psychic pivot from pedestal to parody, where the performer, ordained to inspire, discloses inspiration's reciprocity, a lifeline looped back in an oxygen-starred arena. Admirers felt validated, elevated from passive devotees to active allies, the phrasing a tacit endorsement of their frailties. Subtler still, the query of intent versus artifice. Jungkook's ledger. The 2022 vocal rest mandated by overexertion. The 2024 album cycles a mid-enlistment's echo, tilted toward sincerity, a timbre scarred by authenticity's quiet tolls. For the collective, it unleashed torrents, midnight mantras and therapy transcripts, support circles invoking mutual hands as creed. Resolution bloomed in the interstices, mood boards reimagined as strength borrowed, poetry slams channeling the live's latent grief into communal verse, broaden the lens, and this wasn't mere ripple, but rift in fandom's firmament, Army's fervor magnifying a macrocosm of connective tissue. It spotlighted the evolution of stan culture from spectacle to solidarity, K-pop's iridescent shell yielding to the sinew of shared sentience. Press converged with varying acuity. Billboard Korea hailing Jungkook's unscripted anchor, while The Guardian dissected vulnerability's viral currency, analogizing to Chappell Roan's raw recitals or The Weeknd's shadowed soliloquies. It illuminated the interpersonal lattice, anonymous allies in Telegram channels trading testimonies of their turns, bereavements, burnout, border crossings. Jungkook's murmurous sanctuary for synchronized sighs. Figures like him morph into prisms, refracting not salvation but solidarity. His phrasing recast fandom from cacophony to chorus, interrogating the ephemerality of online affinities. Amid feed-driven fragmentation, where algorithms orchestrate solitudes, this transmission breached the barrier, affirming that utterances, particularly those laced with fracture, harbor the heft to convene constellations. It evoked the eloquence of expression, a solitary strain democratizing sorrow, alchemizing solitary scars into symphonic saga. When the feed dissolved, Jungkook murmuring a final rest well, pixels dissolving at 3:08 a.m. The afterimage persisted, a haze over Itaewon's dawnlit haze. In that suspended breath, Army converged not in finality, but fusion, the voice that had once vaulted through tempests, now extending a tether into the tumult. And as echoes settled, one certainty distilled, luminous as first light on frost. The most enduring harbors are those hewn from the harbors we dare to voice.